The story is about a young boy who comes to the Earth in a spaceship. A couple finds the baby and grows him up as their own child. They also give him the name Clark Kent, but as time passes, they learn that the boy has some special powers. In his teenage, Clark lost his father of Earth, and he is alone with his mother. Using his special powers, he starts helping the people of the city. Then, he meets with the love of his life, Lois Lane, and marries her. They have twin boys, Jordan and Jonathan now, and are living happy lives. While everyone is at home, Clark is busy in helping the city when a huge nuclear reactor becomes out of control. He carries a huge chunk of ice and drops it into the nuclear reactor to stop a meltdown. In this way, he saves the city. The commander-in-chief of DoD is present there, who thanks Superman for his good deed. His name is Sam, and he is also the father of Lois. Back at home, Clark sees that his son Jonathan is busy on the video call with his girlfriend. In the meantime, he receives a call from a doctor and learns that his mother, Martha Kent, has a stroke. So he rushes back to his old countryside house in Smallville, but it's late now as his mother has already died. At the funeral, the Kent family meets the Cushing family, which includes Lana and her husband, Kyle. Lana was Clark's ex-girlfriend during their teenage years. Now, the couple shows their sorrow for Clark's loss and asks him to visit the bank the next day as his mother has taken some loans from the banks, and Lana works in the bank. Lana and Kyle have two daughters. One of them is teenager Sarah, who is at the time exploring the barn area with Jonathan and Jordan. As Jonathan is already taken, Sarah shows affection towards Jordan and even gives her number to him. After that, Jordan climbs up some steel pipes to fix the wife router, but unfortunately he slips to the ground and the steel pipes are behind him. Seeing this, Jonathan jumps onto Jordan to save his life. Clark quickly senses the situation and runs for help. Miraculously, both the brothers are safe and they got no injuries. It looks like, just like their father, the boys also have superpowers. Lois wants to discuss about the powers with the boys, but Clark says that the boys are not yet ready for this. They don't even know that their father is Superman. The next day, Clark and Lois meet up with Lana at the bank, and she tells them that they have to either repay Martha's loan or sell half of the farm to the bank. Meanwhile, at home, the boys are investigating the barn. They are intrigued by how they came out without any injuries from such heavy metal pipes, and also how their father alone took all of the pipes away so fast. During their search, they find something covered in a huge cloth. When they remove the cloth, they see that it's a spaceship with some alien spaceship. They come out running and demanding answers just when Clark and Lois also reach back home. Sensing that the truth can't be hidden from the boys anymore, Clark just shows them that he's Superman. Seeing this, Jordan starts arguing with his parents as he always felt that he is different, but no one believed him. Even Jordan has to suffer a psychologist to fight with his thoughts. But that was all because of his lineage from his father. The following day, Superman flies around chasing a metal man who has been causing some trouble lately. When Superman finds him, he is hiding behind some lead walls so that Superman's powers are diminished. But Superman breaks the walls and attacks him. After they throw some punches, Superman chases him around the globe until he gets stabbed with kryptonite. As kryptonite is the only metal that is fatal for him, Superman becomes weakened and starts to free fall. On the other hand, Jordan reaches the bar at a party invited by Sarah. There, Jordan misreads the situation and kisses Sarah, so her boyfriend steps in and starts a fight with him. Just then, Jonathan also comes in between to help his brother, but the boys starts beating him too. Jordan gets angry seeing this and shoots a red heat vision out of his eyes, which causes a massive explosion. Meanwhile, Clark also takes out the kryptonite crystal out of his body during the free fall and finally makes his way back to Smallville when Lois gives him an emergency call to help out the boys. Fortunately, the boys are unharmed, and now it is revealed that Jordan has powers like his father, but Jonathan doesn't have any. Back to the metal man who attacks an army arms deposit area. He is finding more kryptonite, but could not find it there as Soldier tells him that all the kryptonite has been secured from many years by the officials. Then he returns to his ship, where he's addressed by his AI as Captain Luthor. The following day, Clark flies Jordan to the Fortress of Solitude, which is located in the ice. They have come there to figure out Jordan's powers and meet his AI grandfather, Jor-El. There, Jor-El tells the whole story of Krypton Planet to Jordan. It was the planet from which Clark was originally sent, as their planet was destroyed due to nuclear wars. Back at home, Sam comes to meet Clark and informs him about the potential danger from the Metal Man. Just then, they receive a tip about the location of the Metal Man, and Superman quickly flies to the location. There, they engage in a severe fight, and when Metal Man sees that he is being overpowered by Superman, he sends his ship to attack the city. So Superman leaves the Metal Man and stops the ship from attacking the city. He takes the ship into space before the time it explodes. In the evening, Clark shares with Lois that he thinks they should stay in the Smallville permanently, as in this way he will be more able to give time to his family and also train Jordan about his powers. Lois agrees to him and she has found some interest in this small town. She is a journalist and now writing an article against a billionaire who is slowly buying all the things of that town. The next time when Jordan and Clark go to the fortress, they find out from Jor-El that Jordan's powers are way less than those of Clark's. He can barely hold any solar energy in his cells because he's mostly human. This hurts Jordan. Meanwhile, the Metal Man appears at the DoD headquarters. He dismisses the soldiers with a blow and then approaches General Sam to warn him about Superman. He gives General Sam a locket with the word hell written on it. But before he can say more, Superman also happens to come there and takes Metal Man with him. But when he opens the helmet, he finds no one inside. It was being operated by someone from far away. After a few days, the Kent family paints their house and they are now going to stay there permanently. They play with each other and try to decide what color to use for their new home look. And finally, their life is going to be better from now on. Just then, Clark senses that somewhere a bridge is broken and he has to go there. So he quickly flies to the area and saves the lives of the people at that place. When he returns home, he tells his sons that this is the reason he has been vanishing from scenes in their previous lives. He had to go for the help of people who were in need at that time, and it affected his own family. At school, Sarah breaks up with her boyfriend and comes to Jordan, but her ex-boyfriend gets angry at Jordan and reaches there. He captures Jordan and threatens him. Jordan is almost about to lose his control and use his power on that boy, until Clark shows up there to control the situation. On the other hand, a middle-aged lady named Sharon Powell arrives at the head office of Smallville Gazette, where Lois is now working as a journalist with Chrissy. Sharon wants to publish the story of her son in the newspaper. She says that her son was a minor until one day he disappeared because the billionaire Morgan Edge offered him the opportunity of a lifetime. Lois is already interested in the matters of Morgan Edge, and she is writing an article on him, so she decides to write on the story of Sharon Powell's son, too. Back at school, Jordan shows up at football practice because he now wants to prove himself. He had never been good at football in his previous life, but now, after getting powers, he wants to play again. But Jonathan doesn't think it's a good idea as Jordan has powers, and it's not fair to play with ordinary students. But still, Jordan plays and even wins over his competitors very easily as he pushes the other players and makes them fall on the ground single-handedly. At night, Lois goes to Sharon's house to record her statement, but instead there she finds a man who starts attacking her. The man has powers like Superman too, so Lois takes out her emergency device and calls Superman. In a second, Superman arrives there to save her. He freezes the man with the blow of his mouth and then shatters him completely with a strong punch. Superman then quickly takes the injured Sharon to the hospital. It shows that the attacker was there to kill Sharon and Lois, so the story of Sharon could not come out. Later, when the attacker is returning back in his car, he gets burned alive by Morgan Edge's scary assistant lady, Leslie Larr. In the school, the football coach is lecturing the whole team when Jonathan notices that there is something wrong with one of their players, Tag Harris, who was injured at the party when Jordan accidentally emitted the laser beams from his eyes. Jonathan follows him to the washroom area and sees that the hand of Tag Harris is vibrating and breaks out of the cast perfectly healed. After that, Tag Harris goes to another party and his hand starts vibrating again. The vibrations are so intense that they break the wooden furniture present there. Tag Harris himself doesn't know what is happening to him, so he leaves the house and the Kent boys follow him out into the woods. They want to help him but do not call for Superman as they think that he must be busy with some work. However, Harris thinks that what's happening to him is due to that night when Jordan attacked him, so he attacks him and makes him fall away. During all of this, Superman is busy in arresting an escaped prisoner, Kilgrave. He receives the emergency signal from Jonathan and quickly completes his work by clapping his hands to produce a heavy sonar beam to make Kilgrave unconscious. Then he rushes for the help of his sons. After saving them, they return home and Clark gets mad at General Sam because he told the boys not to ask for help from their father every time as he is a busy person who has to help the whole humanity. This was the reason the boys didn't call Superman for help earlier. The following morning, Chrissy calls Lois and tells them that Sharon Powell has come to the office with her son. She claims that her son is safe back home and that she doesn't want to publish any story against Morgan Edge. But we see that Sharon's son is in pretty bad condition. He has a severe headache, and he even calls someone to explain his symptoms and that he can't bear it anymore. In a moment, his eyes turn red like those of Superman and he burns the whole building. Superman luckily reaches there and saves the people by extinguishing the fire with the blow of his mouth. In the night, when Lois asks Kyle questions about the fire in the building, she receives a call from someone proclaiming that he is a journalist and wants to write a story on Morgan Edge too. So Lois meets this man who happens to be Captain Luthor, whom we saw earlier as Metal Man, but now he is feigning to be someone else. After a formal introduction, they decide to go into the minds of Morgan Edge to uncover more facts about him. Meanwhile, Sharon's son reaches back at the facility of Morgan Edge, where he meets Leslie Larr, who asks him to enter the machine. She claims that she will treat the cause of his headache, but it's the same machine which has converted a normal human being into that monstrous form. Our couple, Clark and Lois, come to the Harvest Fest to enjoy some time together, as it is the biggest event in Smallville. Just then, Chrissy calls Lois, saying that she just saw Leslie take Derek into a building where she puts him into some machine. Lois tells this to Clark, who then immediately disappears in the middle of the festival. Soon, he arrives at the lab to question what's happening there with Sharon's son. But before he can do anything, Sharon's son himself quickly tries to flee from that place, and Superman gives him a chase. He makes Superman chase himself across the world by throwing many hurdles in his way, too. Captain Luthor also keeps an eye on this chase. He even shoots a missile to take down both Superman and this new creature who has powers like Superman. As a result, Sharon's son has to blow himself out because he thinks that he has no other way now. When Captain Luthor reaches there, he only finds ashes behind, and Superman has also left. Back at home, Clark tells Lois that Sharon's son is dead, and she becomes upset with Sharon. The following morning, Morgan Edge gives a briefing about his mission in the Smallville. He claims that he will be changing the lives of the people of Smallville. Kyle and Lana also there, who are impressed by the works of this billionaire. Recognizing Lana's influence, Morgan Edge gives Lana a new job too at his company. At school, we see that Jordan is experiencing his new powers, and he is unable to control them. So in the evening, Clark takes the boys in the barn to train Jordan. He makes him hit a huge wooden log, but by doing this, Jordan's hand gets hurt. So Clark asks him to feel his power first and then try to give a hard blow with his hand at the wooden log. Surprisingly, it works, and Jordan smiles seeing this. The next day, Clark and the boys go to Metropolis for their football game, and they win big. But a fight breaks out between both the teams, and Jordan can't hold the light of his eyes. So Clark comes in quickly and asks him to open his eyes and let the beam fall on his hand. In this way, he saves the day. On the other hand, Lois and Captain Luthor have secretly entered the minds of Morgan Edge to see what is happening there. Lois doesn't really trust this guy, but she is more curious about her story on Morgan Edge. In the mine, they find the X-Kryptonite and figure out that Edge is using it to give people Kryptonian powers. Just then, Leslie shows up there, and she also has powers. She tries to kill them, but Luthor has some high-tech gadgets. He uses one of them, and a simple blast takes care of Leslie, and they get out of there. At that time, Superman is busy finding Tag Harris, and the boys are out for a party because of their win against the Metropolis football team. Coincidentally, the Metropolis team also happens to come there, and they start torturing Jordan. At this, Jordan can't control his anger, and he attacks with a punch at one of the boys. But Jonathan comes in between to stop that punch, and unfortunately gets the force all to himself, as he doesn't want anyone to know about the powers of Jordan. But it breaks the arm of Jonathan. On the other hand, with the help of the DOD, Superman finds Tag and tries to convince him that he's here to help. Soon, DOD reaches there too and attack at Tag Harris. But Superman comes in between and takes the kryptonite bullets on his chest. Then he forces DOD to stop and take Harris easily. Back at home, Clark learns about the fight of the boys, and he gets angry at them because now Jonathan might not be able to play football again due to his broken arm. The following morning, Jordan's super hearing ability comes in, and he starts having a lot of headache due to all those voices in his head. So Clark quickly takes him to the fortress. There, he spends some time teaching him how to control it, but it doesn't really work. On the other hand, Lois finds out that Captain Luthor is not actually a journalist, as he has some high-tech gadgets and fighting skills that journalists don't usually possess. So she goes to ask him who he really is. Here we learn about Captain Luthor's past from his own past memory. He came from some other universe where he worked in the army and married the other version of Lois in his own world. Also, they had a daughter there named Natalie. He had fought and witnessed the evil Superman of their world, who was leading other Kryptonians to attack the Metropolis. In that attack, Lois dies while reporting the destruction caused by Superman. So, in that universe, Superman was Lois's killer. So Captain Luthor decided to make his own suit and kill Superman of their world in revenge. Back to the present, Captain Luthor is telling everything to Lois and asks her to let him meet Superman for once, as he wants to make sure that the Superman of this world is evil or not. Just then, Lois is interrupted by a call from Chrissy saying that Morgan Edge sent out a shipment of what could be X-Kryptonite. Lois and Clark track the shipment, but it gets stopped by Captain Luthor. Seeing this, Lois agrees to let him meet with Superman if he hands over the X-Kryptonite. In preparation for his meeting, we see that he is building his suit on the other Earth again. At the same time, the DoD informs Lois that the Captain Luthor's real name is John Henry Irons, or this is his name of his version of this world, but he is using someone else's identity. Lois quickly understands that he is going to harm Superman and runs to save him. Also, Kent boys are coming for the help of their father. Jordan uses his super hearing to locate their dad. After some time, when Superman arrives at the meeting spot, suddenly, the red lights all around him turn on to weaken his strength. Then John Henry pulls out his kinetic hammer, which gets stronger the further it travels. With his strength weakened, Superman can't do much, so John Henry beats him with his hammer. Just then, the Kent boys come there, and they hit John with the car, saving their father. Jonathan then quickly breaks the red lights, which are blocking Superman's power. Just when Superman is about to kill John Henry, Lois arrives there and stops him from doing this, saying that she will explain everything. Now, John Henry is in the custody of DoD, and Morgan Edge also has his eyes on him. He assigns Leslie to get this man as he can be of help against Superman. Sitting in his cell, John remembers his daughter, whom he had asked to stay behind in the bunker, and he will return soon after killing Superman. She must have been still waiting for his father. Superman comes and talks with John Henry a bit. Then he is going to be transferred to another facility. As they're transporting John, one of the guarding soldiers is a mutant superhuman and works for Morgan Edge. He wants to take John Henry with him to Morgan Edge, but the other soldier refuses. So the mutant soldier kills him. Seeing this, John Henry turns on the alarm to alert everyone in the DoD headquarters. With no other option left, the mutant soldier breaks into a weapon storage where all the weapons are designed to kill Superman. Soon, Superman also comes there, but the soldier is prepared with his face mask and poisonous kryptonite gas cylinder in his hand. After a quick fight involving experimental bioweapons, the soldier overpowers Superman, but then John comes in and stabs him with a kryptonite spear. He knows about these weapons because in his own universe, they also had such storage to fight with Superman. Now, he is going to kill Superman in this world. Luckily, the DoD and Lois came there and they stopped him from killing Superman. Lois tells him that the Superman of their world is not the evil one, and she can vow it on her own life. So there is no risk from Superman and no need to kill. Moreover, he is a savior here. Then the DoD let John Henry walk free because they were convinced that he would not cause any trouble now. The next day we see Lana at her new job. She is also interrogating Morgan Edge motives there too, as Lois has successfully convinced Lana that there must be something wrong with this billionaire. So Lana tries to overhear the meetings of Morgan Edge. After some time, Lois also approaches there and enters the meeting of Morgan Edge forcefully. She tells the people sitting there that Morgan Edge wants you to become someone else completely different from the present self. It is true that Morgan Edge is experimenting with people to add Kryptonian powers to them, but in doing this, the original selves of those people are destroyed. But no one hears Lois, and he leaves the room without saying anything. At school, Jordan suddenly gets ill. When he sneezes, the ice comes out of his nose. It makes him worried, so he quickly calls his father. At home, after a discussion with the whole family, they come out with the thought that Jordan is infected by the kryptonite gas, which was actually used on Superman in the weapon storage room. Now that virus is quickly affecting Jordan's respiratory system, so Superman takes him to the fortress, seeing that Jordan's condition is getting worse. There, they find that the only way to treat Jordan is to burn the kryptonite in his lungs, but doing this will cause a lot of pain to him. As there is no other choice, they go on with this way. They burn the kryptonite out of him. Back at home, Lois and Jonathan are impatiently waiting for Superman and Jordan when someone knocks at the door. There are two more mutant humans with superpowers, and they are sent this time to kill Lois, who has been causing a lot of trouble to Morgan Edge lately. Luckily, Jonathan and Lois dodge the first attack from these mutants. Soon, General Sam reaches there and weakens the mutants with the kryptonite gas. He keeps them busy when Jonathan goes to the barn and takes out some of John Henry's high-tech guns to use against the attacker. Jonathan manages to get 2 shots off by those guns, but then Kyle pops out, revealing that he also has Kryptonian powers as well. And now, he is fighting for Morgan Edge. Just then, Superman finally arrives to save his family. After some time, when Clark and Lois are discussing something, Clark feels something is off. To check on it, Superman flies out only to find Morgan Edge in front of him. Here, he reveals himself as Superman's elder brother, and his name is Tal-Rho. He is also more powerful than Superman, as he throws Superman far away with only one of his punches. Tal-Rho reveals that though their fathers are different, they both have same mother. He was actually the first to leave Krypton, and when he landed on Earth, people pointed a gun at him. though he was an innocent little boy. So he got a very different experience growing up than that of Superman, who was welcomed warmly on the Earth. Now he wants to further his Kryptonian legacy on Earth and rule it. For this purpose, he wants his brother to accompany him on this mission. Clark comes back home and discusses the matter with his family. Also, he discusses it with the AI of his Kryptonian father, who confirms that Clark has an elder brother, but his ways of work are very far from what Kryptonian people usually known for. Clark becomes angry at AI for not being told about all this earlier. But AI father tells that this brother of Superman was hidden from him till yet because there was no need earlier. Back in the Smallville, Lois goes to meet Lana at her home where Kyle is also present. Seeing Lois there, the mutant form of Kyle wakes up again, and he starts attacking both the ladies, even his own wife. But DOD reaches there in time and save both of them. Also, they capture Kyle and keep him in a special glass prison where his powers are diminished. At the facility of Morgan Edge, they find out that Edge has been using a machine similar to an MRI machine to turn people into Kryptonians. Now, the problem is how they would turn all these people back into normal humans. The machine works on Kryptonian technology, and no one knows it. The only person who really understands it is Superman's mother. So, the solution is to put Superman's mother's consciousness into someone else's, and then ask her to make the machine go in the opposite direction. When our team finds it difficult to search for a volunteer who can go into the machine and acquire another person's consciousness, Lana steps forward for it. This task could be dangerous, but Lana feels guilty for what she did to the people by making him work for Morgan Edge. So she wants to do this task for the correction of her wrongdoings. Soon, the procedure starts, and Superman's mom returns to Lana's body. After coming out, she talks her heart out with Superman, who has a lot of questions for her, especially related to his brother. The mom answers all of those questions and asks Superman to try to convince his brother to take the right side. After that, she tells them that the machine's name is Eradicator, and it simply puts a Kryptonian mind into another body, and that there is a small window to reverse the effects. The converted people just need to be brought back and run through the eradication process again. However, the team thought that would take too long, and that they should devise another plan. Superman flies off to lure his brother and all other Kryptonian powers-containing people back towards Smallville so they can be treated. Superman first meets with his brother and tells him about their mother, thinking that it might change him. Then, all of a sudden, the mutants start flying into the air, and an army of super people chases Superman. After some chase, Superman takes all of them back to the designated location and creates a solar flare to explode the Eradicator so that it can convert all the superhuman back to normal people. In this way, he manages to turn everyone back, and they all fall back down safe and sound while Superman gets blasted to the fortress in his weakened state. Then, in flashback, we see the origin story of Superman about how he reached the fortress and trained himself there to be Superman. After reaching his teenage years, Clark left his human parents' house to discover what he really was. In the search, he reached the fortress and learned all about Krypton from his father's AI. When he finally returned to his life, he started saving the lives of common people. Then, he got a job as a journalist at the Daily Planet and fell in love with Lois Lane. They got married and had twins. But something weird is happening in his memories, and he keeps seeing shadows. Tal-Rho eventually shows himself in the memory, and Superman wakes up from his deep sleep. He finds out that he's been going through his memories due to the device around his head placed by his brother. Here, they again confront each other, and Superman's father AI tries to convince Tal-Rho to mend his ways, but Tal-Rho destroys the AI by breaking the crystal. After that, Superman and Tal-Rho get into another fight, and a weaker Superman gets overpowered easily. Then Tal-Rho reaches the family of Superman, thinking that they are the reason why Superman is not accompanying his brother. So Tal-Rho is about to kill this family. At first, he confronts Jordan, but when Superman arrives, he also has to submit to defeating his brother in order to protect his family. He knows that his brother is more powerful, and he would win in every case. Then, Tal-Rho takes Superman to his fortress in the desert to meet Tal-Rho's father. There, they try to turn him evil by making him endure all the pain. Back at home, Lois and the boys are worried about Superman. So Lois calls John and General Sam for help. When they arrive to help, John Henry suspects that Superman might be turned to his brother's side as he did in John's universe, and then killed normal humans. But Lois says that Superman won't be turned ever, as she knows him better than anyone. At the desert fortress, Tal-Rho finally completes the process and tries to put his father into Superman's body. But Superman succeeds from fleeing out of the fortress. He quickly sends a signal to Jordan, telling him about the location, Before further communication, Tal-Ro comes there and takes him back. Jordan, in the meantime, tells the location to DOD, and now they are sending a team to kill Superman along with his brother too, because they don't know if Superman is turned or not. In the meantime, Lois questions Kyle and finds out that there is a chance of fighting against the Kryptonian mind control. There, she also learns that the town has turned a full 180 on the Cushing family for betraying their trust, and even their house gets vandalized. On the other hand, Sam has decided to send out John Henry to kill Superman once they find him, but Lois pulls John Henry aside to tell him that the reason she has so much faith in Superman is because she's married to him. If John Henry killed Superman, he would be killing her husband. Back at the fortress, the body of Superman is now in full control of the evil powers, as the process is complete now. Soon, John Henry arrives there, and they both start fighting. In the end, John Henry overpowers Superman, and when he has the chance to kill him, he tries talking to him about his family in order to wake up his good consciousness, and luckily, it works out too. Superman is back to his normal self. On the other hand, Tal-Ro understands that now it is only him who will rule the Earth, as Superman is not going to accompany him. He takes the Eradicator and goes out of the planet, absorb all of its energy. Superman and John Henry are chasing him. They fire a rocket at Tal-Ro, which makes him fall on the ground in the process of absorbing the Eradicator. The rocket makes him very weak, and it becomes very easy to take Tal-Ro in the custody. Superman then meets with John Henry and tells him that he has to protect the world if Superman turns evil. He also allows him to live in the barn. Just then, Superman's super hearing kicks in, and he gets Leslie's location. Superman and John Henry both go to capture Leslie and also succeed in the mission. Superman goes to his brother Tal-Ro multiple times, asking for where the Eradicator is, but Tal-Ro doesn't tell him anything. Then, one day, suddenly, Tal starts smiling, and his eyes glow blue, and he busts out of his cell. Then he flies out to get powers from the sun and becomes the Eradicator himself. Back at the Smallville, Chrissy wants to write an article to explain what's happening in their town. However, neither Lois nor the DOD is willing to provide any information. Also, Smallville people are protesting to make DOD go from their town. But General Sam briefs that the threat is still imminent, as Tal-Ro has escaped from his prison. Just then, they start getting the news that some evil men have been seen in the metropolis. They are Tal-Ro and Leslie, who show up in Metropolis with a bunch of other Kryptonians. Superman and the team also reaches there, but Tal-Ro has already sent some of the subordinates to destroy the city. Superman goes behind one of them to stop him. John Henry, in the meanwhile, is confronted with Leslie. Lois starts reporting about the circumstances from Metropolis, and almost a scene is recreated depicting her death from the other Earth. But luckily, John Henry comes in time here and saves her with his hammer. After that, Superman and John Henry manage to take out all the Kryptonians, but Edge escapes from there and reaches the location where General Sam is escorting his grandsons. Morgan Edge blasts their vehicle back and pulls Jordan out of the vehicle to take him with him. He has kidnapped Jordan to put his father, Zeta-Ro, into him. Also, during the process, Superman can't hear his kid yelling in pain, so he can't find him this time. Soon, the process is completed, and Zeta-Ro overcomes the body of Jordan. Meanwhile, Superman, in desperation, goes out of the planet and yells the name of his son. By doing this, he is lucky to hear back from his son, so he instantly reaches Jordan. However, when he gets there, Zeta shows his true self in Jordan's body, and so he starts beating Superman up. On the other hand, Tal-Ro comes in Smallville to steal some of Sam's soldiers by making them on his side. He is building his army to fight against everyone who comes in his way of conquering the world. Later, John comes in to help, and Superman reaches there. They all assemble at the mines for a final plan to take down Morgan Edge. Lois is worried about her son, so she wants Superman to be cautious in this fight. She thinks that she can bring back Jordan from the control of Zeta-Ro, as Superman was fetched back to his senses. John Henry prepares his hammer with a special weapon installed in it to kill Tal-Ro, this time at every cost. They have to throw this hammer at Tal-Ro from a far distance to succeed this time. The Kryptonians are currently present outside the mines, as Tal-Ro is making them fetch out the Krypton. Luckily, they are all taken care of by Superman and John Henry. After that, Jordan is taken to the farm, where his mother and Jonathan try to take possession of the evil powers. They reverse the process by having Lois go into his mind using Kryptonian technology, but when they both are unconscious, suddenly Zeta-Ro wakes up and starts attacking Jonathan, who is guarding both of them from external dangers. In the meantime, inside the mind of Jordan, Lois tells him that he's strong and he can fight out of this problem. Luckily, it works immediately, and Jordan regains control over his body. and the trio hug each other in happiness. On the other hand, Superman succeeds in defeating the army of Tal-Rho using the help from the hammer of John Henry. He then reaches Tal-Rho and holds him in place so that John Henry could attack him. John takes the opportunity and throws his hammer from space. With that much distance and force, it simply knocks out Tal-Rho. But in doing this, John Henry has lost all of his energy, and he is now free falling from space. However, Superman reaches there and safely takes him down to the Earth. Tal-Rho, meanwhile, is sitting nearby, powerless. He is still alive, but with no powers. Later, Superman gives an interview to the Smallville Gazette explaining everything that happened in the town. In this way, the life comes to normal again. Superman is present in his castle, when suddenly he senses that some submarine is in trouble in the depths of the ocean. So he quickly flies there and saves the lives of Navy officials from that drowning submarine, which actually belongs to North Korea. He carries the whole submarine and lands it on the seashore. On the other hand, Jonathan is caught by his mother when he is making love with his girlfriend. As he is still underage, Lois becomes angry at him for this action and reprimands him. Superman reaches out to General Andrew, who now runs the DoD after General Sam. General Andrew is angry at Superman for rescuing the submarine of North Korea, as this country is the enemy of the USA. But Superman says that he has vowed to help humanity irrespective of the boundaries of the countries. While they are arguing on this matter, Lois immediately calls Superman back home, where she is angry at Jonathan. Superman, after hearing the story, imposes some restrictions on Jonathan and also asks Lois not to call him in an emergency for such matters as he can be busy saving lives. The following day, a spaceship lands in the front of the house of Superman, and it is Natalie who comes out of that spaceship. She is the daughter of John Henry from another Earth, and just as she sees Lois standing in front of her, she calls her mother. This also triggers Lois's feelings, and the scene becomes very awkward. John Henry later tries to explain things to his daughter, but it is not easy for Natalie to process everything quickly. She has come behind her father as she was alone in that universe, but now she has new challenges to face. A few scenes later, a massive earthquake shakes up Smallville. There is destruction everywhere. Superman reaches in time to save lives, but he experiences some episodes of extreme headaches along with some visuals. That's when Anderson's super team introduces themselves. Though they are just in their teenage years, they saved the people when Superman was fighting with his own pain. However, it could have been dangerous for this new teenage super squad. So Superman reaches out to General Andrew and warns him that he is not doing anything right. This new super team is not ready to face such incidents. However, Andrew, as always, doesn't agree with Superman. Later, Superman discusses with Lois that he is experiencing some episodes of headaches with weird visuals, but he doesn't know what is happening to him. So he reaches out to his brother Tal-Rho in the special confinement made for people with Kryptonian powers. Unfortunately, Tal-Rho also doesn't know what is happening with Superman, but he offers to find out the matter if Superman takes him to his castle, where the AI of his father may tell things and do some scans. However, Superman is not ready to make his brother escape from this confinement at any chance, because he can't trust him anymore. So he ditches this idea and leaves. In the meantime, Lois and her journalist partner Chrissy reaches out to the head of mining works in the mines, whose name is Emily. They want to ask about the reason of the earthquake, as they both are speculating fishy, but Emily convinces them that the reason of earthquake was the movement of tectonic plates and nothing else. Then Lois contacts John Henry to investigate the reason of earthquake using his advanced technology, as she can't trust Emily. Meanwhile, Superman drops by the airport to stop a terrorist. But there, he realizes that this guy is getting powers from Kryptonite as he hits Superman with a strong punch. Also, just then, Superman suffers from another one of his visions, and Anderson's team arrives to help him out of this matter. On the other hand, John Henry is investigating the matter of earthquake with his advanced technology. He is sure that it's not the tectonic plates which are causing the earthquake. Now, Superman has no way left but to take his brother to his castle to find out the reason for his visions. He also takes Jordan with him in case Tal-Rho ditches them. In the castle, they all meet the mother of Superman and Tal-Rho, who becomes very happy after seeing both her sons together. When Superman tells her about his visions, the mother takes him aside to do some tests on him. In the meantime, another earthquake happens in the mines, and simultaneously, it causes the visions of Superman. John Henry speculates that there is something in the mines that is causing the earthquake. Also, Tal-Rho betrays again and starts attacking Jordan. Soon, the earthquake stops, and so do the visions of Superman. When he comes back to his senses, he sees Tal-Rho beating Jordan, so Superman quickly defeats Tal-Rho and sends him back to the confinement. At night, John Henry, Superman, and Lois discuss what to do next. Someone has to go into the mines to see what is causing the earthquakes. Superman has visions, so it is not safe for him to go there. Also, we see that Superman's behavior is changing. He has started showing aggression towards his family in tiny matters. He is angered at Jordan when Jordan asks him to tell him about his powers to his girlfriend. Also, he is angered at Jonathan when Jonathan makes some mistake during a football match. Suddenly, he also loses control over his eye powers. Later, General Sam comes there to discuss whom to send to the mines to investigate the matter. In the end, John Henry Irons is selected for this purpose. He meets with Emily first and then goes into the mines under the disguise of a mine worker. Inside the mine, we see that Emily also accompanies him, and when John Henry finds something uncommon there, Emily hits him from behind and makes him unconscious. So, it is now confirmed that there is something wrong in the mines, and Emily is covering up for that. After some time, a huge beast in a metal suit comes out of the mines. As soon as he comes out, he starts attacking everyone in that area. Superman comes there and starts fighting with this metal man, but the creature is way stronger than Superman and defeats our hero easily. Soon, John Henry comes back to his senses, and he wears his suit to fight out the enemy. But John Henry also flies out and crashes into a mountain with just one hit of the beast. After that, the Beast and Superman both start having visions at the same time, and due to these visions, the Beast escapes from that place immediately. In the night, the whole team discusses the plan to defeat this creature, but Superman is worried as he is experiencing something familiar with this enemy. During this, General Sam has been finding his other daughter, who is now living with a spiritual leader, Allie Alston. Now Lois plans to meet with his sister Lucy, but Allie Alston comes instead to her place. She tells Lois not to trouble Lucy, as she wants to be in the spiritual group of Allie Alston for the rest of her life. But Lois knows that Allie Alston has brainwashed her sister into thinking like this. Meanwhile, when Superman and John Henry are present at their house, the Beast comes there again, and this time he is not wearing that metal suit. Here it is, revealed that he is the evil Superman from another universe. That's why he is very powerful and was able to defeat our Superman. Here they fight again, but John Henry throws his hammer to defend Superman. Seeing this, the evil Superman flies off without any obvious outcome of the fight. John Henry then uses his advanced technology to capture some energy of this evil Superman. He is going to use this energy through a USB device to find out the location of this weirdo Superman. John Henry hands over this device to our Superman and asks him to get the help of DOD as he can't do this work by himself alone. On the other hand, Lois reaches out to his sister Lucy. She tries to talk to her, but Lucy tricks her sister into a creepy hotel where all their conversation is recorded. Lucy was convinced of another world out there by the talks of Allie Alston, but Lois was surprised at how brainwashed his sister was. Lois wants to expose Allie using Lucy as her source, but now Lucy is herself mentioning an inverse world. She even records Lois's motives and then blackmails him to release the video. Lois doesn't leave her alone. In the meantime, DOD finds out the location of evil Superman, and General Anderson sends his super squad to fight the enemy without informing the Superman. But Superman himself senses the visuals and reaches the location. The evil Superman has already killed 2 of the super squad team and 1 is left. Just then, the pendant of the evil Superman falls on the ground and the Superboy Tag Harris takes that pendant and leaves. When Superman and the weirdo from the other world are fighting, John Henry comes there and hits the evil man with his hammer. In response, when the weirdo hits him back, it causes many injuries to John Henry. So Superman quickly takes him to the hospital. Now, Natalie is deeply worried about her father, and she is angry at Superman for indulging his father in this matter and then for not saving him. After that, Superman goes to Tag Harris to ask about the pendant he took earlier. But Tag Harris has already handed over the pendant to General Anderson. When Superman asks General Anderson to give him that pendant as it can be helpful in finding out the motives of the evil Superman, but General Anderson straightforwardly denies from giving that to Superman. In the meantime, Chrissy is meeting with Allie Alston to record her side of the story about her spiritual cult and the inverse world theory. But we see that Allie Alston makes Chrissy fainted by mixing something into her tea. Allie then does some magic by using a similar pendant around the neck of Chrissy, who wakes up in shock as she saw something very unusual when she was not in her senses. On the other hand, Lois sees evil Superman in the office of Emily. He is searching for something, and when Lois reaches there, he becomes startled and leaves without hurting Lois. Soon, Superman also comes there, and they find Emily lying in the office dead because evil Superman killed her in search of his pendant. The narrative shifts to boys. Jonathan has started taking drugs, and General Sam, who is now retired from his day job, is now training Jordan to take control of his powers. But Jonathan, under the influence of drugs, challenges Jordan and even hits a punch straight on his face. Then Lois reaches the place of Allie Alston, where Chrissy is already present and seems to be convinced by the sweet talk of Allie. Superman comes there too and informs Allie that evil Superman can come for her life, as she has the same pendant as that evil Superman was carrying from his world. Just then, evil Superman comes there and attacks Allie, but our Superman takes him away from there. In an abandoned place, they fight with each other, and during the fight, Superman notices that the powers of this weirdo are exactly opposite to that of his own. He blurts out fire from his mouth and throws ice from his eyes, which is exactly opposite to our Superman. So Superman takes him into a mine and captures him using a stone, which diminishes the powers of the evil Superman. After that, Superman leaves as he has to attend a party with Lois. But at the party, Superman senses something off and leaves there too. He goes back to evil Superman, who has now started talking. He is being kept in the castle of Tal Rho, where Superman's mother's AI is present. The evil Superman tells us that he has come from the inverse world, and that there is a portal in the mines that joins the two worlds. The pendant merges people from the two Earths together, while somehow making them infinitely more powerful in the process. Allie Alston of the inverse world has already convinced the whole world to become his cult for gaining this immense power by merging with the world of our Superman. Therefore, the weirdo has come here to stop Allie Alston from this world before she becomes so powerful that nobody can stop her. He also says that they need to destroy the other pendant before it falls into the hands of Allie. The following morning, Superman discusses everything with Lois when he is getting ready for a funeral. During the funeral ceremony, Superman senses that something is wrong in the mountains. An ice cliff has just started falling on the city beneath it. So Superman reaches there and freezes that ice cliff again, saving the people of that city. Anderson has severe trust issues as he calls someone and sets a meeting regarding that pendant. Then, instead of giving the pendant to Superman, he makes him walk through a room, which diminishes Superman's powers. Anderson has now come out as a straight enemy. He makes his soldiers fight with Superman and even hits him with his kryptonite gun. In this way, he captures Superman too and sends him into confinement along with Tal Rho. Superman wakes up and Lieutenant Anderson appears, saying that if Superman tells him where the weirdo is, he can go. Superman instead tells him about the real face of Allie, but Anderson doesn't pay attention to it. Then Anderson takes matters into his own hands and puts a collar on Tal Rho. Tal pleads with Superman to make the pain stop, so he finally surrenders, giving Anderson the coordinates to the location of the fortress. At home, General Sam and Lois are still worried about Lucy. They have to deduce some plan to get her out of that cult. At school, Jonathan Candace's girlfriend brings another supply of the X-kryptonite drug for him, but Jonathan hands it back to her because he doesn't want to do it anymore. Just then, the police make their way into the school with drug-sniffing dogs to find out if kids are bringing drugs into the school. Unfortunately, Jonathan is captured and brought to the police station. Lois gets Jonathan from there, but she loses her mind because of her son. Jonathan tries to calm her down because the sheriff isn't pressing charges, but she's worried they may expel him from school. Also, Superman is not there to handle the matter. Anderson is desperate to find the evil Superman, whom we are calling from now on Bizarro. He has gotten Bizarro's location after torturing Tal Rho in front of Superman, but when he sends his men to that location, he finds nothing but a broken helmet there, so he becomes even angrier at both Kryptonian brothers. But this time, when soldiers come there, they already have a plan. They beat all the soldiers and escape from the prison. Then, Anderson is seen opening up the kryptonite supply containers as if he is now going to use them. Superman and Tal Rho have reached their mom, and Bizarro is still in Tal Rho's fortress. They are discussing how they can defeat Allie Alston in both worlds. Suddenly, Anderson appears there with the kryptonite weapons and fights with Superman and Tal Rho. As he's about to shoot and kill Superman with the kryptonite bullets, Tal Rho sacrifices himself to protect his brother. Seeing both the brothers getting defeated, their mother lets Bizarro go to have him help protect her sons. He agrees and fights with Anderson. Superman disintegrates the bullet fragments from Tal Rho's body and helps heal him by taking him to the sun. On the other hand, Anderson gains too much strength with the X-kryptonite drugs he has, and then he beats Bizarro badly. In the end, he even kills him. Anderson then takes the pendant and reaches for Allie Alston, thinking that she has the other piece of this pendant. Actually, Anderson is being controlled by the Allie Alston of the inverse world. He is a key to sending messages across the world. By her magical pendant, Allie allows him to see his shadow self, and Allie's shadow self sends a message through him too. They also invite Chrissy to join them in their mission of joining the world. Superman and Sam go to get the pendant from Anderson's office, but they discover Allie's pendant is already missing. They believe Allie may already have the pendant. When they discuss this, Lois and Sam get a text from Lucy. The text sounds like a goodbye. Superman checks on Lucy at home, but she is not there. The three deduce the location of Allie and the others who are actually planning to merge with their inverse selves by passing through that portal. Ally and her followers are in the mine at the portal, but Superman arrives in time to save the remaining few who haven't flown through the portal. However, they could not find Lucy in them. Also, they are not sure if she has passed the portal or not. Back at the DoD, Sam interrogates Ally but gets no answer from her about Lucy's whereabouts. After some time, when Lois and Sam are sitting hopelessly, all of a sudden, Lucy shows up there. She tells them her instincts told her to escape the mine, and she makes her way back to the farm. Later that night, when Sam takes Lucy home, she mixes something in his tea. Soon, he collapses, and Lucy reveals she is the failsafe to make sure Allie gets to the other side. She takes Sam's ID and releases Allie from the interrogation room. After escaping, Allie safely crosses over into the other world. This action wakes Superman, and he dashes off to stop her. When he arrives, Allie is already gone. So Superman also jumps into the portal to get to Allie, even though she is now in the other world. A month has passed, and we see life in Smallville without Superman. Lois is alone, Jordan is training with his grandfather, and Jonathan is working at the grocery store. When a plane nearly crashes, it is John Henry who saves the day. Sarah attempts to find time to talk to Jordan, but he hears a fire in the distance. Quickly dashing to save the day, Jordan extinguishes the fire with his blow of the mouth. John Henry joins to save the day and recognizes Jordan is already present there. On the other hand, Lois and Sam find an ex-kryptonite inhaler, and they talk to Jonathan about getting the dealer's name. So, after much effort, Jonathan agrees to give the name. Actually, it's Candace, and Jonathan is worried about her safety as she is his girlfriend. Sam promises Candace protection if she gives the information about the main culprits. After getting the relevant information, Jordan offers his super hearing to help catch the dealers. So in the night, Sam, Lois, and Jordan go on a stakeout. Lois and Sam inspect the operation while Jordan stays in the car. Eventually, a member of the operation takes Lois and Sam hostage inside. When there is no way left, they call out to Jordan for help, and without delay, he saves them both. Back at the farm, Lois tells Jordan she's proud of the hero he's becoming. Soon, Jonathan approaches, but Lois immediately realizes it's Bizarro Jonathan and not their Jonathan. The scene shifts to Superman, who enters the portal and then finds himself on a cube-shaped planet resembling Earth. On that planet, Superman travels to the Fortress of Solitude and speaks to his mother, AI. He delivers the news of her son's passing. Then, she informs Clark of the dangers associated with Allie having both parts of the pendant. Then we see Bizarro Jonathan urging Clark to leave with him so they could plan at the farmhouse. It astonishes Clark that the Bizarro version of his son Jonathan has abilities in this world. Clark takes in the abandoned farmhouse. Inside and out, he shows no signs of the warm home it has always been on his Earth. Inside the house, Bizarro Lois appears, contradicting Jonathan's claims of his father not caring about him. She also reveals Jonathan is working for Allie. Jonathan is not a good son in this world, and he even beats Superman when he tries to perform his fatherly duties for him. Soon, Bizarro Anderson comes there and saves Superman from Jonathan. Anderson and Superman share a moment of understanding and remorse. Now their goal is to keep the pendant away from Allie. Anderson realizes the errors of his earlier ways. Then, Anderson gives Clark the pendants facing off against Allie, Tal-Rho, Lana, and Jonathan of the Bizarro world. Jonathan freezes the weapon of Sam he wants to use against Allie. He is then confronted by Anderson again so that Superman can handle others. But Jonathan defeats Anderson and takes the pendant from Superman, who is also being overpowered. After that, Allie and her other self merge together. While Allie merges, she asks Jonathan to go to the other Earth to merge with his other self. In the meantime, Tal-Rho is holding Superman. But he also has something in his heart for his brother. That's why he reconsiders his past choices and leaves Superman to go behind Jonathan. Back to our Earth, Bizarro Jonathan states that he's there for Jonathan to complete his own merge. But before the merge, Bizarro Jonathan has to face off against Jordan. Luckily, Superman also comes in time and saves the day. He stops Jonathan's merge. The following day, Bizarro Jonathan goes to the house of the friend of Superman, Lana. He first meets with Sarah, who finds Jonathan very weird, and then goes inside the house. Lana doesn't know that this is evil Jonathan, so she greets him warmly. But Jonathan attacks her and takes her to an abandoned location. On the other hand, Lois reaches to the office of Lana to meet her, but she is not present there. Sarah also doesn't know that where Lana is, as she must have to reach at office, but still she is missing. So Lois quickly tells everything to Superman, who asks Good Jonathan to see if he is having any visuals, as Bizarro Jonathan is in their world, but he is not seeing anything. On the other hand, Natalie is building her own metal suit, which is much stronger than John Henry's. For this, they need more kryptonite, and that's why they go to the mines to get some. While in the cave, Bizarro Lana comes out of the portal. Immediately, John Henry sends Natalie away and tries to defend himself against Lana's counterpart. She is about to overpower John Henry when Natalie pierces her in the shoulder with a shard of X-kryptonite. After being injured, she flees from that place. In the meantime, Superman reaches the location where Bizarro Jonathan is keeping Lana hostage. As soon as Jonathan sees Superman, he emits fire at him. Superman quickly dodges and then shields Lana from an explosion. But in doing this, shards of kryptonite lodge in Superman's chest before Bizarro Jonathan lodges a bigger shard into the middle of his chest. This makes Superman weak. This was all Jonathan's plan to make Superman off the way. When Jonathan leaves, Lana helps rid Superman of the kryptonite crystals. Back at home, Bizarro Jonathan comes for his other self to merge, but Jordan faces off first. At the start, Bizarro Jonathan has an upper hand, and he is beating Jordan. They take the fight to the skies, and Jordan counters with a good move before he begins free-falling. Just in time, Superman comes and catches him. Despite how the fight began, Jordan gets the last blow in on Bizarro Jonathan, and he is sent into the special confinement. The following day, Superman visits Bizarro Jonathan in his holding cell. He extends the offer of his redemption in return for his help to save both worlds. But Bizarro Jonathan refuses to help, believing Ali will fix the world and there's nothing Superman can do to stop it, even if he has the pendant. While at the DoD, Superman consults with John Henry and Sam. They give him a bleak outcome that only saves this world while destroying the other world. However, Clark refuses to accept an outcome that won't save both worlds. Then, asking for help, Superman visits Tal-Rho's cell to ask for his help in destroying Ali's pendant. He brings Tal-Rho home to speak with Lois first and make amends for his past actions. Here, Tal-Rho promises never to hurt anyone she loves again. After that, in order to destroy the pendant, Superman and Tal-Rho opt to use their heat vision combined with the heat of a volcano to destroy the pendant. However, Ali intercepts them and injures Tal-Rho with her just one move. Now Superman alone fights with Ali. Soon, the hammer of John Henry enters the scene. He combines hands with Superman to beat Ali. Then Superman and Tal-Rho again come together to destroy the pendant. After they destroy the pendant, Tal-Rho escapes from the scene. Ali takes the broken pieces of the pendant and flees from there too. In revenge, Ali is in Bizarro World. She reveals she has another way for her plan to succeed. She visits the cell of Bizarro Tal-Rho and siphons power from him into herself, making him almost dead. On Bizarro World, Ali gives a televised speech for all the inhabitants expressing a need to unify both worlds in order to increase their strengths. In our world, Lois, Sam, and Chrissy arrive at a location where Lucy and other followers of Ali are present. It's their last attempt to turn Lucy to their side. When they arrive at their destination, Sam advises Chrissy to stay in the car while the pair confront Lucy and the rest of Ali's followers. Lucy refuses to believe Lois's claims of all that Ali has done recently with their whole family. Because of her rigid behavior, Sam handcuffs himself to Lucy. They take Lucy alone to another room for a conversation. There, Lane family talks through their problems. After the conversation, Lucy asks for time to think over their issues, and so Sam uncuffs them. Just as they were making progress, Ali arrives there. She promises soon Lucy will merge with her other self. Lois and Sam try to do damage control and talk Lucy out of the merge, but Ali starts attacking both of them. Ali also wants Lucy to help her find Superman. She plans to use him as a power source. Lucy volunteers to get Superman for Lois using the ELT signal, but Lois stops her from doing this at all costs. Before Lucy can change her mind, Ali forces her hand on Sam and drains him. She then demands to call Superman. When Superman arrives, Ali starts draining him instead, and Chrissy leaves the car. Seeing the scene unfold, she calls John Henry. He and Natalie immediately fly to the location to help. John Henry hits Ali with his hammer, but now Ali is very powerful. She dodges the hit and even injures John Henry very easily. By this time, she has drained Superman to her fill, so she flies away, leaving Superman almost dead. Although Sam is breathing, Superman is not, so Natalie uses the suit to restart his heart. Then, they take Superman back to the DoD for treatment. At the DoD, John Henry is in the operating room while they run tests on Superman. His skin is no longer as impenetrable as before. Lois and John Henry go back to the farmhouse to reveal Clark's cells are normal, and that there's a chance he may never be the same again. They all agree that they will have to step up in a world without Superman. After a few days, Clark is back at home. Once home, Lois assures Jordan and Jonathan that Clark will get better. Feeling weak and unsteady on his feet, Clark believes something is wrong and he needs to see his mother at the fortress, so he asks for help from John Henry. At the fortress, Clark's mother delivers the unfortunate news of Superman's cells needing time to be repaired, with a tentative timeline for recovery. The message glitches just as his mother attempts to inform him of how he can speed up recovery. The worlds have started merging together. The residents of Smallville discover the unnatural red glow of a square sun in the sky. Sam arrives at the farm just in time to hear Clark and John Henry explain his condition. John Henry and Natalie give a bleak timetable of 12 hours until the worlds merge, so they have to do something as soon as possible. As Clark attempts to recharge by sitting in the sun, Bizarro Lana comes on the farm to kill Superman on the order of Allie. Just in time, Jordan saves Clark from her. Also, thanks to John Henry and Natalie's arrival, Bizarro Lana flees away. Everyone is worried in the town and asking questions from Lana, who is the new mayor of the town. She is explaining things to people, but no one is believing her. So Superman dons his suit and comes to the town hall to support the claims of Lana. At the same time, John Henry has gone out of the planet to stop Allie from merging the worlds. He opens a rocket fire at Allie to stop her. But Allie counters with a strong move, which causes defects in many systems of the suit of John Henry. Due to all these defects, he becomes stuck in the space. Back at the town hall, Bizarro Jonathan confronts Lois, Jonathan, Sam, and Superman. He attacks Superman, planning to kill him just as Jordan and Bizarro Lana crash through the wall. Jordan hits Bizarro Lana and then faces off against Bizarro Jonathan, but he is easily overpowered by the Bizarro duo. Just then, Natalie receives the sign of the attack at the high school. She flies in to help Jordan save the day. After regrouping, the Kents find Natalie at their home, crying over the status of her father's disappearance. She has lost the signal completely to her father, so the Kents offer her a place to stay with them. With the worlds merging, there is flickering in both worlds. Things from one side are going to the other side. During this, Natalie gets a broken message from John Henry. As Bizarro Tal-Ro arrives on this world, Lois transports to the Bizarro world with Sam. The things that are happening are beyond understanding. One good thing happens as Bizarro Tal-Ro offers to save the world in Clark's stead. He flies to the void where Allie is merging the worlds. But his efforts are futile as Allie drains him out of all energy. In time, Jordan flies into the void between planets to rescue Tal-Ro. With a failed attempt, Clark comes up with a dangerous plan. He asks Tal-Ro to throw him into the sun to regain his abilities as he gets the energy from the sun. But it can also take his life as his cells cannot withstand so much heat at the time. Still, he convinces Tal-Ro successfully to throw him into the sun. On the other hand, Natalie decodes the message from John Henry and goes into the void to help her dad. In the void, Natalie locates John Henry, but there she realizes that she missed a crucial part of the message he sent. To destroy the portals, he needs X-Kryptonite, which she didn't bring there. So, they come up with a plan to use the power from their suits. With the world on the bank of devastation, Tal-Ro throws Superman into the sun. Luckily, Clark's plan works, and Superman regains his abilities to the fullest. At the same time, Allie nearly attacks John Henry and Natalie, but Superman comes there in their defense and he encounters Allie. Superman puts Allie's hand on his own chest as his energy is so great that she can't bear it. Then, he separates the merged women with a crushing blow, sending them back down to the farm. With John Henry and Natalie keeping them apart, Superman separates the worlds apart by rotating around the planets in high speed, and then giving a hard kick to the land. Later, with all threats neutralized, the citizens of Smallville celebrate Superman as he flies overhead. Back at the DoD, Lois visits Allie, wanting answers. Tal-Ro gifts 2 new trucks for Jordan and Jonathan. Also, Jordan and Sarah reconcile their relationship. Later, Superman takes all his family to his new castle in between the sea. Superman is now training his son, Jordan, to make full use of his powers. He races Jordan as they fly over the ocean. Jordan plunges into the ocean, playing cheerfully with his father. Later at night, Superman catches a collapsing crane in Malaysia. He finds Jordan there, attempting to help, which Superman doesn't like a bit. So they argue on it. Meanwhile, Lois is investigating a case of the biggest fraud of the city. For this purpose, Lois goes undercover as a patient to speak with a doctor. While the doctor didn't want to talk about the case Lois is investigating, she gave Lois hope she could be pregnant. Back at the Kent house, Superman tells Lois about Jordan's visit to Malaysia and their failed attempt at being a superhero, and she tells Clark about her potential pregnancy. While out shopping, John Henry discovers Clark looking at pregnancy tests. Also, Lana discovers the truth when Lois opts to discuss the matter of pregnancy with her when they're out for drinks. The following day, Jonathan passes his driving test and the family celebrates it with their friends. During a sweet PowerPoint presentation for the twins, Clark races off to save the day from Atom Man, Henry Miller. The two fight with each other, and Superman attempts to question who gave Atom Man these new powers, but he gets no answers. The battle ends with Atom Man falling to the ground as if someone shot him, but upon closer investigation, there are no bullets. Superman sees a mysterious hooded figure present across the street, but before Superman can approach him, it disappears. To wrap up the party, Clark and Lois tease the boys before they retreat to their rooms. The pair also shows interest that they want to expand their family. The following day, Lois gets a call from Dr. Irons, who tells her she's not pregnant but would like to run more tests on her. Lois clearly has a sense of worry on her face. When Clark mentions the pregnancy, Lois doesn't tell about her tests. The next day, she gets the report from the doctor and is informed that she has got breast cancer. Now, she doesn't know how she should share this news with his family. Meanwhile, Lana is on the call with a man who is in danger at the time. The same mysterious figure is trying to kill him, and the man wants to deliver some message to Lana in code words. Eventually, the mysterious figure whose actual name is Onomatopoeia kills this man. On the other hand, Lois and Superman visit a judge to inquire about the case Lois is investigating. She puts pressure on Judge Tara Regan. Just as they realize the judge is hiding something, some mysterious men come there and send the pair out after handing the judge a phone. Clark and Lois's investigation leads Lois to find the judge on the roof. Because the judge feels no way out of her situation with a criminal named Henry Miller, she feels that she must end her life. However, Lois pleads with her. At that time, Superman encounters Bruno Mannheim, who is the main suspect in Lois's case and the head of all the crimes. On the other hand, before that man died, he gave Lana a clue as to what was going on. So Lana and John Henry find a flash drive behind the Pride of Smallville seal in the mayor's office. When Lana loads it up, Onomatopoeia appears, causing the glass to shatter and the wind to blow. Then, Onomatopoeia takes the drive and destroys the computer. Back to the rooftop to help Judge, Lois tells her of her cancer diagnosis and urges her to fight like she now has to. She talks the judge off the ledge, and Superman overhears all this. So Lois now explains all the details of her diagnosis to Clark when they're home. Lois admits to having inflammatory breast cancer. After that, Lois tells all the people she loves about her diagnosis and medical plan. Sam breaks down after hearing the news. Despite the medical concerns, Lois still continues to work with Chrissy. The next day, Superman and Lois show up for chemo. Superman attempts to support Lois, only to be interrupted by a mudslide in Nepal. With Clark gone to save the day, Lois skips out on chemo again. She finds Chrissy and then continues the investigation instead. She pushes forward despite Chrissy's protests. When Clark returns for the appointment, Lois is gone. She and Chrissy are in a dangerous situation, locked in a freezer full of blood at one of Mannheim's facilities. When she tries to call Superman, it doesn't work. Superman can't hear her too because she is in the freezer. He rushes to the DOD to alert Sam and John Henry that Lois is missing, so they start the search. At school, Jonathan discovers his truck missing from the parking lot. He accuses Candace's father of stealing it, which upsets her. At night, Natalie, Jordan, and Jonathan set out to get his truck back from a workshop. They throw a smoke grenade and secretly get into the truck. Then they drive it off without causing much trouble. On the other hand, Mannheim's men discover Lois and Chrissy. This gives them a small window to call for Superman. In no time, Superman dashes off to save them, allowing the ladies time to run before they hit him with kryptonite guns. John Henry also comes there and saves Superman from kryptonite guns before the entire facility explodes. That night, Sam calls Lois and tells her that they have discovered blood of Superman in the laboratory freezer of Mannheim facility. At another of Mannheim's secret labs, he is able to revive Atom Man through some secret means. Jonathan's truck was indeed stolen by Candace's father because Candace found a watch of Lois in her home. So she apologizes to Jonathan for his father. Later, all the family members show support for Lois's treatment. Natalie gives Lois her mother's watch as a gift. The following day, John Henry discovers something while working on his suit. He visits Clark with news about the death of his counterpart of this world. Original John Henry of this world used to work for Mannheim, and then he mysteriously died. So Lois is investigating into this matter to find out the reason of death and illegal activities of Mannheim. But Lois has not told John Henry about this yet. On the other hand, Jonathan visits Candace but encounters her father there, who denies dealing XK and confronts him. Their argument heats up and he punches Jonathan on the face. When Jonathan gets home, Lois discovers his black eye, but he doesn't tell her at that time who delivered it. When Superman gets home, Lois demands the truth about Jonathan's black eye. Just as the conversation started, Clark has an emergency at the DOD, so Lois alone goes to Candace's father for justice for her son. But Candace's father is a drug addict. He shows his gun to Lois and makes her go back disappointed. At DOD, Superman learns the blood they discovered came from the DOD. They took it when he was hurt in order to find a way to save him. Hearing this, Superman destroys the reserves of his blood. Meanwhile, John Henry encounters Dr. Irons, who is actually the sister of this world's version of John Henry. There, he pleads with her to give him information on Bruno Mannheim and her brother. She tells him that John was selling military weapons on the side before he was murdered. Just as his sister retreats, Mannheim's men approach there and request John see their boss. So, John Henry visits Bruno Mannheim, who reveals that he knows of John Henry's association with Lois and Superman. John Henry also learns that Bruno has captured his sister. Within moments, he calls for his suit and escapes to find her. Luckily, he reaches the destination soon, but learns he only has 30 seconds before the explosives attached to his sister detonate. The tech is something he designed, so he finds a way to stop it, saving his sister's life. After saving her, he confronts Mannheim one last time, who asks John Henry not to show his face again. Otherwise, he will kill this version too. When Clark arrives home, Lois tells him about what happened with Candace's father. At the diner, Clark finds Candace's father and confronts him about his actions. When he attacks Clark, he easily takes down the drug addict and promises to come for him if he ever steps out of line with his family again. At the secret lab of Mannheim, a new super beast is being prepared by injecting something in it. It can be Superman's blood too, which was stolen from DOD. This beast's name is Deadline, and he again goes to DOD and forces a general to open the locked door through her iris scan. He is there to steal some data. At that time, Superman is ready to go on a party with Lois, but their plans are disrupted by this emergency. By the time Superman reaches there and stops Deadline, the file is already transferred. When Clark arrives back home, he finds Lois sitting on the couch. She realizes that as much as she wants to go to the dance, she can't. Soon the boys come back too, so the whole family enjoys a dance in their own house. The following morning, Sam delivers the bad news that Deadline got the locations of DOD facilities, allowing the gangsters to rob them. Also, they have stolen the Bizarro Superman's corpse. Clark is attending group therapy for the spouses and family members of those diagnosed with cancer. When Clark hears he's needed at the DOD, he dashes off to find a dying Deadline asking to be taken to Mannheim. So Superman flies him to Mannheim's office asking for help, but he declines and directs Superman to take Deadline to a hospital instead. Bruno Mannheim plans to inject the corpse of Bizarro with XK and Superman's blood. After the news that Deadline died today, Lois looks into estate planning. This causes Clark and Lois to argue about the potential of losing her. Later, Lois has a lunch date with a new friend, who is also getting treatment at Mannheim's hospital. Just like Lois, they discuss Clark's denial about potentially losing her to cancer. Lois also admits she believes Mannheim's hospital is a cover for something. She gets a different perspective on all the good the hospital has done for her and others. Back at the Kent home, Jordan tells Lois about their training sessions, during which Superman rebukes him without any reason. So she confronts Superman. The talk again converts into Superman's unwillingness to acknowledge the possibility of her death. At this, she leaves for a drive for wanting to be alone and tells Clark to apologize to Jordan. Clark and Jordan talk everything out but get interrupted by Lois calling for help. This turns out to be the trap with onomatopoeia mimicking Lois's voice. Although Clark attempts to fight back, he is no match for the formidable foe and the kryptonite guns. While Jordan listens in at home, he tells Lois that Superman is in trouble, and she advises him to save his father. As Jordan attempts to help, he gets shot by a kryptonite gun. This is enough to spur Superman to fight back and defeat onomatopoeia. After a moment of uncertainty, Jordan begins breathing again. Back at the Kent home, Clark shares that kryptonite doesn't affect Jordan the same way it does him. He believes his human side is what saved him today after getting shot by kryptonite gun. Finally, Clark shares he feels powerless in trying to keep Lois safe. On the other hand, onomatopoeia reaches Bruno and tells him that she can't do this anymore and that her powers are fading and she's getting worse. We find out that Superman's new foe and the person behind the mask of onomatopoeia is a lady named Peia, who is Lois's new friend and Bruno's wife. She has cancer, and Bruno vows to save her. The following day at chemo, Lois further bonds with Peia. Lois shares family photos, but Peia neglects to do the same when asked, claiming not to have her phone. A flashback of Bruno and Peia shows Bruno making a deal to take Lex Luthor out to get their neighborhood back. But Lex Luthor gets to know this deal and is about to kill Bruno. But then Peia stops him from doing anything. And in this way, she also confirms her love for Bruno. In the present, when asked about Bruno, Peia tells Lois she's only seen him in passing. Lois's line of questioning upsets Peya, and she moves to another seat, directing Lois not to follow. When Clark returns, Lois tells him in on her fight with Peya. Lois reveals she no longer trusts her instincts. Clark encourages her and offers to help her. On the other hand, Natalie has fallen in love with a boy named Mateo. She also makes him meet her father at a lunch date. We then see Clark meeting with Bruno, offering him an opportunity to tell the world his story. During the interview, Clark digs deeper into Bruno Mannheim's motivations for curing cancer, but this angers Bruno. At the treatment facility, Lois apologizes to Peya. She tells her she doesn't want just to be cancer friends, but instead wants to be real friends and promises no more story angles. In the interview, Bruno pressures Clark to admit he would do anything for Lois. Clark realizes this is personal for Bruno. While at chemo, Lois invites Peya to the farm. This causes Peya to admit her connection to Bruno. Bruno also comes there and admits that he kept his marriage a secret because he didn't want people thinking bad about her. This is also the last day for Peya's chemo, so she rings the bell as a ceremony and bids farewell to everyone. On the way home, the pair are interrupted by the boys needing answers. They have found goodbye letters in addition to estate planning. That's why they are worried even more. In the metropolis, Natalie is now meeting the family of Mateo. Everyone seems very happy, and Natalie has also made a good impression on the mother of Mateo, who is actually Peya, and his father is Bruno. But here comes a twist when John Henry knows about the parents of Mateo, and he comes in the diner to take Natalie back. Seeing him, Bruno has his men hold John Henry while he beats him. Though Peya protests, John Henry immediately signals for his suit. Then, Bruno pulls a gun on John Henry just as his suit bursts in. But before John Henry gets to suit, Peya uses her powers to blow it away. Bruno asks Peya to kill John Henry. Superman also hears this fight and immediately reaches the location. Now, Peya has to work even harder to kill both of them. This makes Peya very weak. The force of Peya's abilities eventually wears out, and she collapses. Superman sees her need to get to a hospital, so Superman takes her and flies away. Then Bruno asks John Henry to leave, takes Natalie, and flies away. This leaves Bruno alone in the alley with his son. Superman takes her to the DOD, and he disagrees with John Henry about keeping Peya there with her powers neutralized. Clark reminds him she's still dying of cancer, but John Henry says she's a bad person, and he and Lois need to remember that. When the DOD does not allow Bruno to meet his wife, he requests to speak with John Henry. He, Sam, and Superman meet his lawyer at the DOD, where Bruno demands to see his dying wife. However, John Henry refuses again unless Bruno gives them all the items stolen from the DOD. Later, Superman visits Bruno, appealing to him and almost getting an agreement to return the items in exchange for seeing Peya. Before he can officially agree, soldiers from the DOD and John Henry burst in just as Superman tells Bruno he had nothing to do with it. They raid his office forcibly, as John Henry disagrees with Superman and Sam. In the meantime, Henry Miller is awakened from his pod as he is now being sent for revenge. At John Henry's home, Henry Miller attacks and beats him badly. Soon, Superman rushes onto the scene, delivering one swift punch to defeat Henry Miller before ensuring John Henry is safe. Once he's out of harm's way, John calls for his Warhammer. While Superman recovers, John rejoins the fight, not only beating his foe but killing him in the end. However, Superman and John Henry again disagree on killing the enemy. On the other hand, when Mateo arrives home, he and his father get into a disagreement. Bruno assures Mateo his mother will be fine. He shows Mateo Bizarro Superman and says he's the cure to saving Peya. The following morning, Bruno is getting ready to meet his mother. At the DOD, Lois also comes to meet Peya. She talks about cancer treatments and then offers Peya the opportunity to set the record straight. She assures Peya she will be fair if she gives the information DOD wants against Bruno. She questions Peya about the evidence that sent Lex Luthor to prison. Peya insists Lex deserves to be in jail. Clark also joins Lois at the DOD. Finally, Peya agrees to talk to Lois about Bruno's dealings to set a good example for Mateo, but she will talk after she speaks with her son. She releases her from the restraints so Peya can speak to her son properly. Then Mateo comes and tells her his father's cure works. He discreetly injects her with one of the cufflinks he is wearing. Lois can't see the exchange as she has her back turned speaking on the phone. When Lois returns to the room with Peya, she discovers Peya is better and now refuses to give a statement about Lex Luthor. Peya uses her powers, forcing Lois to help her escape. On the other side, Mateo and Bruno wait to reunite with Peya, and they are very happy when she comes back home. But the problems for Peya start from here. She loses control over her powers. At that time, Kent's family was in the hospital because Lois was going through mastectomy surgery after her cancer treatment. But the sound waves of Peya disrupt the operation. Actually, it is disturbing the whole city. Also, no treatment of Bruno works this time. Peya can demolish the whole building, so she comes out on the streets. But there are a lot of people who get in trouble. Superman leaves the hospital when Lois goes into the hospital room. He comes near Peia, but the intensity of waves is so strong that he cannot get close easily. These are the last moments of Peia. So Superman somehow gathers all his strength and takes Peia into the sky. There, a huge explosion occurs and Superman comes back with the dead body of Peia. He hands over the body to Bruno and tells him that Peia was concerned about him in the last moments. On the other side, surgery goes well and Lois is fine now. Bruno also admits all his crimes and he tells that Lex Luthor was imprisoned under false charges. But he also comments that Lex Luthor is the type of person who should stay in the prison, otherwise he will cause many problems. Then we see that Bizarro Superman is awake now. Also, Lex Luthor is threatening the jailer of the prison by taking his family at gunpoint by his men. He is doing this because he wants the jailer to let him take revenge from a prison mate who refused to give a trimmer to Luthor. Now, after the statement of Bruno, Lex Luthor is outside the prison and he is very angry at Lois. He straight goes to the Kent house and threatens Lois to leave the journalism as she accused him under false charges. She asks her to leave this profession by herself, otherwise he will make her leave at all cost. Then he goes to the secret lab of Bruno to see what he has left behind. There, he gets Bizarro Superman. Lex Luthor discovers that more he injures Bizarro Superman, the more he becomes strong. Also, this creature has become immortal. Every time he kills Bizarro, he comes to life again, so Lex Luthor again and again kills Bizarro Superman to make him stronger and stronger. After that, he goes to the Kent house to face Lois again, but Superman comes in the way to stop him. However, Lex Luthor has also come fully prepared. He calls for Bizarro, who has now become an indestructible beast. Superman makes every attempt to kill this beast, but he fails. Every time the beast